Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into a massive real-time shift happening right now in the tech sector. We're looking at the rapid transition toward autonomous software development and, honestly, the entirely unexpected financial realities that come with it. We are entering a world where software practically builds itself, but as we'll see, that incredible power is completely rewriting the rules of enterprise budgets.
So let's start with a major twist. For 2 decades, the software as a service industry has relied on this really comfortable, predictable foundation, the flat rate monthly subscription. You pay per user, you get the tool. Kind of like an all-you-can-eat buffet, right? But the rise of generative AI, and specifically these autonomous AI agents, is just absolutely shattering that model. To understand why your software bill is about to look less like a buffet and a lot more like a fluctuating utility bill, we first really need to understand the tech revolution that's driving it.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the Agentic SDLC revolution, then how that breaks the traditional lifecycle. Next up, we'll see how PwC and Anthropic are scaling this up, followed by the shift to token-based pricing, and finally, navigating variable AI economics. All right, jumping right into part 1, the Agentic SDLC revolution, let's look at exactly how the software industry is evolving at just breakneck speed. Until very recently, AI encoding was, well, essentially a really smart autocomplete, right? A hopeful assistant. But imagine a development environment where AI doesn't just assist you, but autonomously drives the entire software delivery process from start to finish. This is a massive structural pivot from handcrafted code to goal-driven applications. We call this the Agentic SDLC, or Software Development Lifecycle. In this new model, autonomous AI agents are the ones doing the heavy lifting. They're planning, coding, and testing with very minimal human intervention. Humans are really just there to provide the high-level intent. So instead of sitting there typing lines of code, engineers basically become orchestrators and governors, reviewing designs and approving high-impact releases. And hey, if you think this is years away, think again. Recent research from PwC focused on the Middle East shows that a significant majority of development teams are already adopting these tools to accelerate their release cycles and improve code quality. Get this, 38% are already operating as pioneers. That means they have already augmented 6 or more stages of their life cycle with AI. They aren't just experimenting, they're fully in production. Moving on to part 2, breaking the traditional life cycle. How exactly does this continuous agentic AI shatter the old ways of building software? Well, the traditional SDLC is very linear, highly manual, and frankly, painfully slow. The agentic SDLC, on the other hand, is continuous. AI is autonomously building, testing, and evolving systems on the fly. It fundamentally shifts the bottleneck of software creation. We're moving from human typing speed being the limit to human decision-making speed. Across the entire lifecycle, AI is now stepping in to identify business needs, architect systems, actually write the code, and manage deployment. And the results? They really speak for themselves. Those pioneers we mentioned earlier, they report doubling their release cadence and dropping defect rates by an astonishing 90%, all while saving on operational expenses. It's a real game changer. What we are really dealing with here is a unified agentic brain that orchestrates the entire workflow. It literally takes the busy work off the desk. This allows senior engineers to operate at a massive scale, focusing strictly on oversight, governance, and high-level strategy rather than getting bogged down in the weeds. Okay, part 3, PwC and Anthropic scale up. To capitalize on this massive shift, we're seeing some powerful strategic alliances taking these models to the enterprise level. Anthropic's co-founder and CEO Dario Amodei hit the nail on the head regarding the speed of this value creation. He noted that insurance underwriting that once took 10 weeks now takes 10 days. Security work that took hours now takes minutes. By targeting over $2 trillion in corporate technical debt, these agentic models are completely changing the economics of business. And this isn't just for nimble tech startups either. PwC and Anthropic have expanded their alliance to deploy Claude-powered solutions across some highly regulated industries. For instance, in life sciences, agents are compressing clinical development cycles while still maintaining strict FDA compliance. PwC even acted as customer zero for this, launching a Claude-native finance group internally to optimize their own operations before ever taking it to clients. Now, to sustain this execution and this massive rollout, PwC is actively training and certifying 30,000 of its own professionals right here in the US on Anthropic's Claude models. They're equipping their workforce with tools like Claude Code, and they actually have plans to expand this to hundreds of thousands of professionals globally. That brings us to part 4, the token-based pricing shift. Here is where things get tricky, because running these autonomous agents requires immense, expensive compute power, and that is completely changing the way we buy software.
The sheer demand is staggering. Anthropic's annualized revenue run rate jumped from $9 billion at the end of 2025 to an expected $30 billion. That explosive growth has put an incredible strain on the underlying GPU infrastructure required to run these massive models. So, to cope with these compute shortages and totally unpredictable capacity demands, Anthropic made a drastic move. They transitioned to token-based enterprise pricing. That old $200 fixed-rate enterprise flat fee, it's gone. It has been replaced by a much lower platform seat cost. But it's paired with a variable per-token usage billing system, meaning if your AI agents are working overtime, your bill is absolutely going to go up. Let's look at our final section. Navigating variable AI economics. This transition means procurement teams simply can no longer rely on the comfortable, predictable software budgets of the past. IT procurement firm NPI Financial has really laid out this new reality for us. Enterprise buyers now face mandatory monthly spending commitments based on estimated usage, and those nice volume discounts we used to see, gone. The financial risk has shifted entirely from the vendor over to the customer, driving the total cost of ownership up. NPI advises that businesses have to rigorously monitor their usage, challenge those mandatory spending commitments, and demand transparency to survive this shift. And that brings us to the ultimate tension of this explainer. The software industry is rapidly moving away from traditional subscriptions toward a variable consumption model. As your software development inevitably transitions to a relentless machine-driven Agentic SDLC, the productivity gains are going to be massive. But you have to ask yourself, as these autonomous agents take the wheel, is your operational budget truly prepared for this unpredictable, variable reality? Thanks so much for joining me to explore this.